Now, guys. Hopefully this is us. Just waiting on people to join in here. And then we should have this thing going. Here we go, here we go. Alright, second time lucky with this thing. Second time lucky. Let's see, we're just waiting to get Evan on, and then we're gonna see if we can invite him on this thing. Technology. Technology is fantastic. We should definitely be good to go here. Guest requests. So, give me a second here now, guys. Yeah. Great stuff. So, just while we're waiting on Evan to jump on there, guys. Sorry, the last broadcast got interrupted there. So basically we're here in London, and you're tuned into live chats, and basically every Monday I bring you one inspiring person who has created success in their life, so they can share their life story with us, basically talk about their ups, talk about their downs, and the idea is that we can all improve our own lives just a little bit, 1 week at a time, maybe even massively, who knows. So tonight's guest is Evan C. Stewart. He's an entrepreneur from Dallas, Texas, and his company did $22 million in sales last year. So shout out to Teresa there for joining us, and we're just hanging on there for a second, guys. Get Evan on here, and let's see, great stuff. So we're definitely nearly there now. So just do hang tight. Okay, here we go. Let me share this thing right to my page. We're inviting Evan on here to the stream.
I have never heard of anyone who's got a tree.
Let's see if you've got him now. We're coming close.
Don't want to leave Bobby. That was so deep. I don't want to leave Bobby.
Hanging in there. We've nearly got him. Taylor Richards, how you doing?
Hey.
Yes, it's a great success.
We did it. Oh my gosh. Dang,
Come on,
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, how are you, man? Good to see you.
That's my apologies, man. Good to see you. Yeah, how's life after Vegas?
Awesome. Always awesome. You know that. How about you?
Yes, sir. It's been increasingly great, right? I don't know about you, but I went away from that conference like just completely fired up, like so excited. You know?
It was incredible. It was a really, really good experience. Good to network with great people like yourself. And yeah, no, it was great. I loved it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I suppose just to give it, first of all, kudos to you, because for those of you that don't know, the other guests couldn't make it tonight, and I was like, right, who's the most successful person I know on my friends' lists? Boom. Then I found Evan there, and in true 10x fashion, you jumped on this thing with like an hour's notice.
That's right.
So,
yeah.
First of all, you're the man. Like that's amazing. You know, it's easy to see why you're so successful when you're just able to get it done like that and take action. So much respect to you, Evan.
Thanks. Well, Grant himself says commit first, figure it out later, right? So,
yeah,
you know, you and I hadn't
absolutely
really talked too much before this. I've engaged with your content, but you just shoot me a message. Hey, you want to talk? Sure, let's do it. You know, let's have a conversation and make a good video for your followers.
That's incredible. Absolutely, yeah. So look, tonight's show is all about you. You achieved massive amounts of success in your life. You're someone who I look up to, someone who everyone on this video can look up to. And so I really just want to focus on you and your story. So first of all, for the people who, for the small percentage of people who are going to watch this now and later who don't know you, maybe you can just give us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Evan Stewart. I'm on social media at Real Evan Stewart. And I currently, the majority of the success is going to the Rueckert Stewart Group, which is a real estate brokerage a real estate group that we operate here in Dallas. It's important for me I always like to give credit where it's due. I do have a business partner, Niels Rueckert, and we've got a couple of really fantastic agents, Mandy Mahoney, Terry Francis, and Bella Maiorello, who are just absolutely fantastic. So this success is definitely attributed to all of our collective efforts in real estate. But outside of that, I do speaking, consulting, and training for other professionals, specifically service-based industries is my specialty. And, you know, getting into investing in development, and we're starting our, oops, sorry, camera's moving. We're starting a couple of other, charitable contributions and foundations and that type of thing this year. So I believe that my goal is to help other people achieve the highest version of themselves. And so everything I do is a diligent effort to follow that purpose and make sure my actions align with my intentions.
Hey, that's a huge goal. Love it, love it. And so I'm
Absolutely.
guessing I'm right in assuming that this whole thing wasn't an overnight success, right?
No, it's not. Overnight success is the only difference is when the recognition gains traction, right? I mean, even Justin Bieber wasn't an overnight success. He just gained traction in a short period of time. No, it's not. I come from a long line, a family of successful entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurship runs in my blood, and helping other people. That's always been a part of who I am. I had one real job working in retail for about 6-8 months, years ago, and I hated it. I'm just the type of person who I really believe that the majority of my time and my effort needs to be aligning with serving other people, and working for other people doesn't really fit into that structure. So, no, man, I believe that the most successful people have stumbles along the way. I definitely stumbled along the way myself. I'm not near the point that I want to be. I'm glad that I'm here, but success where you are in your life is just a stepping stone to elevate you to that next position.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely. So take me back to the start then, because I'm keen to know, how you started. And I mean, I'm leaning back towards your childhood here. I mean, what were the starting points of this whole thing for you? Tell me about you as a young guy.
Sure. Well, I've always been entrepreneurial. When I was before I was even in elementary school, or maybe it was first grade or second grade or something, I realized that I could buy fruit snacks, like little candies, in bulk, and then resell it at lunchtime and get enough money to buy ice cream, right? And so I'd go and I'd buy this thing in bulk, and I had to save up because it was like $10, right? And I'd go and I'd resell it for a couple of bucks a pop, make like $20. And so I started making money that way in elementary school. And but really I always kind of did those little things. I think every true entrepreneur has this kind of ghetto bootstrap type of business where they're just slinging money around, not knowing what they're doing, but it started something, right? And I remember a big turning point. I don't remember how old I was, but I was not, a grown man at this point. I had asked for a really high quality pair of jeans, right? Like designer denim. And I go to my parents and I say, hey, I want this designer denim. I want these jeans. And they're about $80, and they're not really expensive by today's standards. But, at the time, it was a big deal.
It's a lot of money, right?
Yeah. My dad said no. He said, no, I'm not going to buy you those jeans, but I have to get some work done at the home and, around the house, like in the yard, and I'll let you work for it. And that's what I did. And I realize now I probably did the work for much less than I should have, because I made like $120 that weekend or something, but I worked all weekend. I worked Saturday, I worked Sunday. I just dug into it. And when I bought those jeans, I used them until I actually stopped wearing them when it ripped in the back and you could like see my underwear. So I said, okay, that's when I got to stop. But I used it until I literally couldn't use it anymore. And that right there is the moment I attribute to recognizing the effort of the dollar, because money is one thing, but money and the amount of money you have is just an outward reflection of your impact and an outward reflection of your effort. And that moment for me was true, because those jeans didn't represent $80. They represented 2 weekends worth of hard work. In the Texas summer, it's hot, man. It's really hot.
Yeah.
And they represented the sweat and the labor and the work and the opportunity cost of not hanging out with friends and not going out and doing other things that weekend. There was so much power in that message that he instilled in me when he said, you need to work for this. I just took that and I've been essentially working off of that mindset from then until now.
Wow, so that's an incredible lesson that your dad taught you at a young age. And I suppose it brings me to the question, you mentioned, Evan, that you come from a long line of entrepreneurs, right? You grew up with great lessons like that. So do you actually believe that entrepreneurship is something that you are born with in your DNA, or do you think that it's something that you learn at some point along the way?
So actually the answer is both, and I'll explain that. I believe that true, purebred entrepreneurship is something that's deeply ingrained in who you are. And what I mean by that is I would literally die if I had to do anything other than what I wanted to be doing. My purpose in life is to build businesses, to impact and inspire other people, and to make sure that if I'm healthy enough to get up and act, then I must take action. But
Yes, sir.
I do believe that there is kind of sorry, my phone keeps slipping here. There's kind of a
Hey, no
modern
worries.
standard of entrepreneurship. People misinterpret entrepreneurism with being a CEO or being a president of a company. If you're the CEO of a company, you're not an entrepreneur. The entrepreneur is the one who's sitting down one day and says, you know what, I can do this and I can do this better and I'm going to take action. That's what the entrepreneur does. The CEO is the person who sits down and says, I am going to run the company. True purebred entrepreneurship are people who would rather die than do anything other than take action on their own part. That cannot be taught. But being a CEO, being a president, being a good worker in a company, that can be taught. That's what the school system's for.
Got you. Yeah, makes sense. So let's move on from, okay, so going back to the genes, you got the genes, right? You got that from your hard work and your sweat.
Yeah.
So that was a big lesson for you. What happened after that point? You left school, I presume. How'd you do? Did you finish school? Did you go to college? What happened around that time of your life?
I'm just going to hold the phone because that's not working too well.
Sure.
Well, I tell you what, I did go to school and I went to university and, I come from a line of entrepreneurs, like I mentioned, but I also come from a line of people who are well educated. And so that was kind of the natural next step. But I'm just going to be super honest. I hated school. I hated everything about it. Every single thing about it. Now, with that being said, I unfortunately attribute a lot of where I am today because of school, not because I learned anything I didn't, but because I met my wife through school. I met some of my best friends through school. Incredible. And I also was pushed, due to my distaste and dissatisfaction with the university system, I was pushed into other opportunities, which is how I got into real estate. So I believe that, the school system, the entire job of the school system, especially the American school system, is to create people who do jobs really well, not people who start empires. And so I agree. I didn't exactly. And so no, I didn't actually finish my my college career. I left and I started my business at the time, and haven't looked back. It was the best decision I ever made.
That's incredible. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I'm sure anyone would be blown away by the results you've had. It's inspiring to anyone to see that. And I presume, did you come from a very wealthy family? Did you come from what sort of background did you come from initially? Kind of.
My family, we never had without. We had food, we had clothes, we lived in a fine neighborhood. We weren't flying around on a private jet, but we did really well. And my parents are unbelievable stewards of their money. So it was just as much a reflection of their effort as it was that when they got $1, they just didn't spend it unless they had to. And so because of that, and that's something that I talk about, money is just opportunity. That's all it is. A lot of people misinterpret what it actually means to be successful or to have money. But when you have $1, you have opportunity. And when you save money and when you use it and leverage it against your future, it gives you more opportunity to do what you want to do. So, but my family, I guess by modern standards, would be middle class, just a good traditional classic American family. There's no complaints. We always had opportunity, which was kind of nice. My father, he had a saying, he said, I want to give my children enough to do something, but not enough to do nothing. And, he instilled that in me and my brother and my sister.
That's incredible. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think it does help when you have support behind you. It certainly is good. I mean, my folks neither of them are entrepreneurs.
Okay.
But thankfully they always believed in me almost blindly. So I think that helped. I think that helped perfect. A bit.
That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. And let me ask you, Evan, everybody kind of, has a breakthrough moment where they think, oh my God, this is actually working. Like, this is going to work. Like, I'm going to make this business is going to be successful. What was your breakthrough moment? Can you remember? I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I can actually. So I had a couple of different, what you would call breakthrough moments. Some were, wow, this is actually working, and some were, oh my God, this is terrible. But both of them are breakthrough moments. It's just in their own way, right? I think the biggest breakthrough moment for me was when I had, at the time I had started a company. This is before Rueckert Stewart, where we are now. I had started a real estate company, and I was with I'm just going to hold the phone. I keep trying to set it down. It's not working. Sorry. But
it's a low budget production, Evan. I apologize.
I don't, no, that's fine. It's all me. You know, I should have had the studio and everything. I take responsibility for that. But, you know, the biggest thing was I had started this organization with these people who we didn't align. Our sense of morality didn't align in how we wanted to conduct business. And that relationship fell apart. And after that, I had lost everything. I had lost just everything. I really hit a low point. And I do believe that part of the importance of entrepreneurship, again, that true bred entrepreneur mindset we had talked about, is being able to bounce back and having elasticity. And the very next day, I was interviewing with other brokerages to rebuild. And that was probably the biggest turning point. It wasn't the, oh my God, this is working. It was the, oh my God, it didn't work. And
that's incredible.
I didn't have anything. I mean, I was living in a crappy, not a crappy, but it wasn't a good apartment. And I had to check my budget every time I wanted to pay rent or get food. And it just wasn't success, right? But the thing was, I was going down this track of being fake, because, you know, people who have money, they may drive up in the chrome Ferrari, but people who have wealth, the wealth just becomes a part of who they are, you know, because again, money is just an amplifier. If you're a jerk, you're a bigger jerk with 10 million in the bank than you are if you're a person who wants to do good. And at the time, I was trying to be that person who had money, right? I would buy name brand stuff, and I, you know, wanted to get all these new cars and do all this stuff, not because I had the ability to buy the money, but because I was insecure at the time with myself. And it was through hitting absolute rock bottom that I realized, hey, you know what? My perception of myself is all that matters, and my identity isn't grounded in how other people perceive my actions. So I just need to stay true to who I am. I need to redefine my purpose and make sure that my actions daily align with my purpose. And that's what I've done. And that was the biggest turning point, because now if I have a bad day, or I have a day that's not as good in comparison to some other days, like my wedding day, you know, today isn't a bad day. It's not as good as my wedding day, but it's not a bad day, you know? And all of what I have now and my personality and where I am now stems from that moment of being cut so low that I had to sit down and reevaluate everything that I thought I was, to find out that the person who I thought I was the person that I was, I thought other people needed me to be.
Yeah, wow, incredible. That is deep. Yeah, you're touching me here. You're touching me.
Good,
it's
good.
That's okay. So yeah, so that's a huge piece of advice. And you know, let's say there's somebody here, Evan. You know, that's a lot further behind you right now, right? Maybe they're going through a hard time in their life. You know, they broke up in a relationship. Their business is not going well, and they just, you know, they're not getting results right now.
Okay.
What is something they can do to bounce back from that? What can they do to push forward and achieve the levels of success that you've achieved yourself?
Take immediate action right there. I don't even think most of the time. I just take action first, and then I think about how I need to react to my action. That's the biggest thing, because what happens is that, you know, I tell people life is not actually hard in the sense of what makes life hard isn't the moments that happen to us. It's how we react to those situations. You know, when somebody says, I don't love you anymore, that statement in and of itself is a neutral statement. Why that's a hard statement is because our emotional connection, we understand the emotional connotations of such a terrible thing, right? And that's what makes it difficult. But if you start being able to separate and have the discipline necessary to separate life happening in just generalities versus how you react to it, you start thinking life happens for you and not to you. And if you stop recognizing that, hey, you know what, something bad happened to me. No. Something bad happened for you, because that was the universe aligning in a way that drew you away from what you were doing and drew you towards what you needed to be doing. You've heard me say many times, I believe that your actions need to align with your purpose, and stress in life stems from that. And depending on what your beliefs are, if you're a spiritual person, maybe it's God. If you're a person who believes in the universe, maybe it's the universe, whatever you want to call it. I do believe that if you take too many steps away from your purpose, that you will be realigned to work back in your purpose. If you're secretly, or not secretly, but if you're, you know, deeply trying to achieve specific goals. And so if you're struggling with something, if there's somebody going through a hard time, you know, I'm not going to be the type of guy to pat you on the back and say it's okay, because sometimes it's not. Let's be real. Sometimes there are really, really, really hard times that happen in your life. I don't like the phrase everything happens for a reason, because then that leads people to fundamentally try and find solutions or reasoning behind something. Not everything happens for a reason. Sometimes things will be unexplainable and inconclusive, and the great thing is that's life. But what you need to do is you need to have the ability and the elasticity to sit back up and say, hey, you know what, life happens for me, not to me, and I'm making the diligent choice to say I'm going to make the best of a bad situation. And if I'm going to be reacting, I might as well be reacting in a way that positively impacts my future, instead of bringing down my purpose and my potential because something in my life outside of my control came into my environment. That's not fair. It's not fair to yourself. It's not fair to your children. It's not fair to the people you care about. And more importantly, it's not fair to your future opportunities when you have a daughter who's smart as a whip and says, I want to go to an amazing school and I want to cure cancer. And you say, I can't help you with that because I haven't built up my life in enough way to provide an opportunity for you because one day, 30 years ago, I had a bad day. That's crap. And I think you and I can both agree on that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. You know, absolutely. And so I think that what you're after saying there, what I take from that is, look, you've actually, correct me if I'm wrong, you've got to really look after yourself first. You've got to get yourself to be the best possible person you can be. Get yourself to be massively successful, or at least as much as you can be, before you can truly help others. So, I mean, for me, if you want to truly impact the world and have a great impact and help a lot of people, you've got to help yourself first. You've got to make yourself as successful as possible, and then move on from that point. Would you agree?
I'd agree with that. And a lot of people will say, oh, it's selfish if I just think of myself, or, oh, I'm always thinking about other people. And that's a really, really noble thought, right? But what you need to do is, you've heard the phrase, if you're in an airplane and it's going down, you put on your mask first before you can put on the mask of your neighbor. I'm a big believer in, you need to allow yourself to put your head down and to be diligent and to grind in your vertical, in your profession for a little while. Because when an opportunity strikes, or when hardship strikes, the only way to build up a defense around yourself and your family is to work so hard that your finances are impenetrable, that your conviction and your purpose and your goals is impenetrable, that the people you have around you are there and they're going to catch you when you fall, because you will fall, as opposed to being surrounded by people whose expectation of you is for you to give them something they're not working for, so when you fall, they fall out of your life. That's what creates bad situations. So I do agree with that. You need to help yourself. You need to help yourself, but only with the purpose of being able to unequivocally pour your opportunity into the people you care about. Because Zig Ziglar said, if you help as many people as help as many people as possible achieve what they want in life, you'll achieve everything you want in life. And that's not a selfish statement, it's selfless. If you start from serving other people with the expectation that you're going to monetize your ability to serve, then you'll achieve what you want and build a future based on servitude instead of selfish consumption.
Huge. That's a huge takeaway point for anyone who's watching this. If they truly understand that, that's really going to help them. Evan, look, I've only got one last question for you, and just to mention to the guys that are watching this, take the opportunity. If there's a question you want to ask Evan right now, I'm sure he can really help you out. Drop a comment right now. I'll get to it.
Yeah,
if there's
shoot
a question,
it up.
drop it right now. Shoot it up, right? If there's a question, drop it right now. But here's the last question for you. Your greatest life ambition, right? If we come back to this thing in 20 years, 30 years, whatever it is, and
back when Facebook owns the world. Yeah.
When Facebook owns the world, right? if we come back and do another interview in 20, 30 years, or wherever the ambition is, what would you like people to be saying about you? What would you like to have achieved at that point? My deep core motivation is to help millions and millions and millions of people. And you've already heard me say that I believe that I was put here to help other people achieve the highest version of themselves. And that's exactly what it is. It's that I want to be able to have an impact and a reach that reaches millions of people, to hear what I've learned and to hear some of these thoughts that have been going around in my head, because I believe that I can help people and I should help people, and that it's my ethical responsibility to help everybody that I can. So the biggest goal I have, it's a little bit ambiguous right now, is just simply to help and have a reach for millions of people. And that starts with myself and my family. I don't have children yet, but it'll pour into my children. And then using our ability and our opportunity that we've created off of our labor to help as many people as possible. Because at the end of the day, it's about legacy. No one's going to care that, in 30 years I'm going to
buy a fancy car or a fancy house or all of that. No, that doesn't matter. What really matters is the opportunity that I'm able to create for other people because I took action today instead of tomorrow when everybody else says, oh, it can be done tomorrow. No, if it can be done today, it should be done today.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, look, I think you just set the bar really high for this show. This is the best one yet. This is my favourite. So,
good. I love it.
Look, I can't thank you enough for coming on, Evan. And hopefully you're going to Miami in October for the next GrowCon.
I think so. Is it confirmed in October?
It's looking good for it, but yeah, it looks like it is. But hopefully,
awesome.
If it is, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm there. You know it.
You're there, man. Maybe we'll do a stream live. How about that?
That'd be great. I love it.
Sounds great, man. All right, well, time is precious. Thanks so much for coming on, Evan. Appreciate that, pal. And I will see you in October. And I'm going to wrap this thing up with these guys. Thanks so much. It's been a real pleasure.
Good to see you, my friend. Talk to you soon.
You too, my friend. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, guys, so that was a powerful interview there. That was Evan C. Stewart, my friend Evan there from Dallas, Texas. $22 million in sales last year alone, and those are the type of people, those are the type of friends that you need to have. So look, I'm bringing this show to you every single week. The goal is we're going to learn something. We're going to learn something very valuable, at least one thing every single week, and everyone who watches this show is going to improve their life just a little bit, or maybe a big bit, 1 week at a time. Go to my Facebook page, my public figure page. It's facebook.com/official Martin Eastwood. I've got a real treat for you coming up on the next episode of Live Chats, and I'm going to be back with you Monday at 6:30. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Have a good day.